Hi. We're kind of doing a book unhaul, kind of talking about why I don't want to film unhauls, and also talking about why I unhaul books. That'll make sense. I have a cat in my lap, and she's purring and very adamant. I wonder if I could get the... Let's see. Do you have anything to say? Oh, wow. Yeah. She had a lot to say. Okay. She's like, fucking pet me. Anyway, unhauls are a popular video on BookTube, and I personally don't really like to watch them all that much. I will sometimes, but I understand why they're enjoyed. People love seeing why people disliked a book, and why people choose to get rid of books. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit and kind of go through the types of books I choose to unhaul and examples of them, because I have these bookshelves behind me, which are my read, my to be read, and then I have a bookshelf over there that's kind of used as a bookshelf, kind of used as you walk into the apartment and you have to put your keys down, so you put them down there type of thing. And on the bottom of those shelves are all the ones that I am going to unhaul. So let's talk about where I unhaul them to. The first place I go to is the used bookstore in the area that I like to buy from. I will bring them in and he will buy them from you, so he can either give you cash back or you can just buy things and then whatever he was going to give you, he'll take off the price, which is typically what I do. So I'll come in, I'll bring in a bunch of books, he'll take some of them, he'll give me some money back, I'll buy some stuff, they'll kind of be free because I traded them in, but it's not a one-to-one trade-in or anything. The next thing is that if he doesn't take them, or I know he wouldn't take them because the books, he's very particular with the books that he will bring into the store, I will then bring them to a second used bookstore, which is about an hour away, which I go down to sometimes, and they'll take most books, and then they have a credit system where for every purchase that you make, half of that can come from your store credit. So if you buy $16 of books and you have $8 on credit, $8 of that can go. So it's you're getting them half off with your trade. I don't go down there as often, and their books are a bit more expensive, so it's kind of nice to have that option. And then some of them I just donate. I don't really do library donations because my library, their book donation area is basically always full. So that's where I donate. Let's talk about why I unhaul books. So previously, it was because I didn't have enough room on my shelves for everything. At this point, I bought taller shelves, so I'm doing what cities do, and I'm increasing my capacity upwards, and a lot of those are empty. So I could fill into my shelves more, but I kind of like unhauling. So I do. I don't feel bad about getting rid of books. I like the in and out flow of books on my shelves. I don't know if it sounds weird, but I enjoy the tactile sensation of owning books. So the reading experience of opening a physical book, but also looking at my books and organizing my books. I reorganize these books pretty often. At least a few times a year, I'll kind of move things around, and then when I get new books in, I'll move things around. So, you'll probably see things change behind me with some sort of regularity. I don't keep everything in the same place all the time. Not that you look back there. I don't know. I don't really look at people's bookshelves directly and try to figure out what books they own when I'm watching videos. I don't know if people do that. Anyway, that's not what this is about. So now I'm going to go through categories of things, of the types of books I get rid of. The first is a simple category. It is books that I enjoyed, but I decided to get new versions of. So an example of this is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I liked it, but oh no, I have a cat on me. Okay. I'm not going to try to get up. She's starting to flick her tail at me. So I liked this book, but I don't really like this version. I found the other version used. I'll put it up, and I just think it looks cooler. It has a nicer spine, so I'm getting rid of this one. Another one that falls into this category is Warbreaker by Sanderson. I don't like this cover at all. I think it makes sense for what the novel's about, but I think it's really ugly. No offense to whoever designed this. And so I instead got this one. I think I can pull because it's behind me. Oh, God. Okay. Oh no, that's the Poppy War. JK. Okay. This version, the UK version of Warbreaker, which I like because I have it in my hand. I really like this style of covers. I like the white and the accent color and I don't know, illustrative. I don't know if that's actually what illustrative, but it almost looks like a watercolor. I think that's more of what I was trying to say. So that's category 1. Category 2 are my DNFs. If I don't finish a book, I'm not going to keep the book. An exception to that are books that are technically not mine. They're my partner's. So if you could see them right now here, the ones with the yellow and the red, Metro 2033 and Metro 2034. I attempted to read those, didn't work out for me. But here are some examples. War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Thought it was really boring. DNF'd it, don't want to own it. Room by Emma Donague. Children narrators work for me sometimes. I really didn't like this one. It was just putting me off of the reading experience. So, DNF'd it. I'm gonna get rid of it. Another one, The Bees by Laline Paull. I just didn't like the plot. I thought it was boring. DNF'd it. Not gonna keep it on my shelves. Third category, books I read but didn't enjoy enough to own. Or don't like the versions, but still probably wouldn't own it if I had a good version. The Shining by Stephen King. I would never reread this. I didn't really love it. I was neutral about this book. Also, it's a mass market paperback, and I think it's ugly. So, wouldn't keep it. The First 15 Lives of Harry August. I did enjoy this book. I had a fun time with the reading experience. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, but I would never reread it. I don't really think about it. Again, there's nothing special about the cover that would make me want to keep it on my shelf, so getting rid of it. Another one. This is kind of why I don't film unhauls too, because it's just very repetitive. I don't really have much to say other than these categories. So you can assume if it's in these categories, I'm getting rid of it. Okay. Third one in this category, Queen of the Tearling. I just didn't really like this, have no interest in completing the series, and it's not a bad looking book. I just don't want it on my shelves. Brings me no joy. With respect to the third category, there are books that I was also neutral about or maybe liked less that I choose to keep. So an example of that, which I can see it, but the cat. So we're going to pop it up, is Homefire. I didn't really enjoy this at all. I'm not sure if on reread I would like it more. I don't really plan on rereading it, but I love the cover and I think the spine looks really nice on my shelf, so I'm keeping it. Fourth and final category is books that I'm just not even reading. I've never really picked them up. I might have read a sentence, but I'm not considering that a DNF. For some reason or another, I'm just no longer interested, no longer planning on reading it. This category is bigger now than I think it will be in the future. I was at a point a few years ago where I was buying books more mindlessly because it was oh, I've heard of this. Oh, it's cheap. Let me just get it and have it on my shelves. And I was being less intentional with the types of books that I was putting on my shelves and if I thought I would like it or not. And so I just sometimes go through and I'm yeah, this book sparks nothing into me. I'll read the back cover. It doesn't really give me anything. I'll read a few sentences of it. It's still not giving me anything. I'll look at some reviews and I'll look at I generally look at 3-star reviews if I'm deciding whether or not I want to keep these, because I think that they're most likely to be praiseworthy and critical at the same time. So let's go through. Last Bus to Wisdom. I picked this up because I think someone was talking about this author. They called them a great American author or something. And I read the premise after I bought it, and I tried to read the first few sentences, and I was like, there are other American authors that I could read instead of this. It wasn't really, I just knew that I would, with all the other books I'm more excited about on my shelves, I probably would never get to it. So it will go to a new home. Next one, A Little Life. Now, I had every intention of reading this, and I had heard a lot of people refer to it as torture porn, and that didn't bother me at the time, but then I read The Great Alone, which I kind of did like a review discussion thing for, and that book, what I really didn't like was it was like just torture porn. Like everything that happened to the protagonist, it was just bad, and I was like, why am I reading this? Like, I don't like this. Like, I don't mind if tragic things happen, but it has to have some sort of like reason for me. And after reading that, after having discussions in the comments, I was just like, this isn't for me. Like, I don't need a book to try to force me into an emotion. And a few people did actually bring up this book, and I'm just not going to read it. So it's going away. Last one, the ones that I'm choosing to get rid of without actually reading them fall into a lot of different categories of why I'm getting rid of them, which I think is a bit more interesting to discuss, but I'm still not going to do hauls, so sorry about it. Or I'm still not going to do unhauls. I don't know if I said hauls or unhauls. Anyway, last one, Americanah by Chimanda Ngozi Adichie. So I owned this, and then she made some comments about trans women, and they weren't as like, she didn't dig in her heels as much as J.K. Rowling did, and so I'm like, I probably read a bunch of books by problematic people who just don't use their platform to discuss how problematic they are. And I was willing to read this because I was really interested in the book itself. I was just like, maybe I'll read it, but I won't talk about it, so I won't give it like, a platform on my channel, even though my channel is very small. And then her and Akwaeke Emezi have some sort of back and forth. Like, Akwaeke Emezi has called they've called her, Chimanda Ngozi Adichie, out multiple times on these like anti-trans statements. And then recently Adichie came out with a essay on that conflict and on cancel culture, and I read it. And it didn't make me like her as a person. Like, it was like when I read J.K. Rowling's essay, and I was like, I don't think I want to promote you, read you, just no, I don't like you as a person if this is how your mind works type of thing. And that was the same thing I had here. It was like she was trying to call out Emezi for being pretentious as a writer. She released emails that they had sent to her, and within this, and she was basically trying to call Emezi out for actions that she was also doing in the essay, and it just left me feeling, like, okay, lady, alrighty. And so I'm just not going to read her anymore. It turned her personality, because I've never read from her before, that whole thing and her personality really, like, turned me off. Mind you, I'm not saying within that conflict, like, Akwaeke Emezi, like, did everything right. I didn't really follow it, to be honest, but I like Emezi's work, so I'll keep reading them. But, yeah. After reading that essay, I was like, we're getting rid of this. I have no interest in supporting you at this point. Those were all the categories that I could think of when I was coming up with this video. Let me know what you do with your books. Do you unhaul them? Do you keep them? Like, if they fall into any of these categories, what would you do with them? But that's all I got. So until next time, happy reading.